Greetings, beloved. Once again, my name is Tate. I've been asked to share a few words with you. Prince, a eulogy published by MTV News Online, April 26, 2016. Take our opening text from the book of Ellison, Ralph Ellison, Invisible Man. Could he be all of them? Ryan the runner, and Ryan the gambler, and Ryan the briber, and Ryan the lover, and Ryan Hart the reverend? Could he himself be both Ryan and Hart? He was years ahead of me and I was a fool. I must have been crazy and blind. The world in which we lived was without constant boundaries, a vast, seething, hot world of fluidity, and Ryan the rascal was at home in it. It was unbelievable, but perhaps only the unbelievable could be believed. Perhaps the truth was always a lie. I can't imagine a world without Prince in it, Lisa Jones Brown said. Greg, who's gonna make the world safe for black people? And beyond that, Lisa J., who's gonna make the world even tolerable for freaky ass black people?
Frankie is.
Go to the zoo, but don't feed the realist, Prince, in conversation. Trailblazer, trickster, troublemaker, who was at mass race man supreme. No one who really matters us could ever be painted in monochrome, but the only descriptive title you embraced was a simple one, musician. Few caught the boundless love and humility you displayed before your tradition's storied and gloried ancestors. All those who plied their trade before you in the not always so entertaining or fiscally rewarding business of commodified musical blackness. But musician also connoted something specific, the sense of craftsmanship and attention to detail you'd expect of any good carpenter or neoclassical jazz composer's son. And anybody who charges false modesty need only watch the tribute to Shaka clip with Stevie or the jam with Lenny Kravitz of American Woman to see the real deal. Seeing you grind so hard in the 20 feet from stardom position, fool might believe the role of R&B sideman was your daily bread. You felt so lucky to have it. Then again, your government name was meant to be aristocratic confidence boosted up enough. I got a boy child coming. He's gonna be a son of a gun. Papa Nelson was clearly feeling mighty prophetic and cocksure that his progeny would justify being declared at birth a knight of the realm, that anointed place, the one unambivalently sacred and profane, liturgical and low down, where dukes, counts, barons, sun gods named Ra, and at least 3 noted guitar-strangling kings abounded. You gonna make pretty women jump and shout, then the world wanna know, what's this all about? None who ever mattered to us could ever be frozen in any cycle but timeless, nor reduced to their alleged season in pharmaceutical hell. Because here's the paradox, the truth of any vessel's light only emerges out of the darkness. And whenever one of the people's champs takes it up to the next phase, up pops Hamlet on cue, pointing us beyond the tabloid dross with a reminder, what a piece of work is a man, how noble in reason, how infinite in faculties, in form and moving, how express and admirable in action, how like an angel in apprehension, how like a god. Only after death are we forced to reckon with unsolvable riddles. How did that much music, wit, and spirit coming out of that exsanguinated, stiff, shrunken, and breathless body? How could you just step off, my dude? Beloved Prince, nobody gave you permission. Our BFF, Tasha Diggs, was right about how your sudden and mysterious departure hit us. This is a death in the family. Prince was like your brother, your cousin, your father, your favorite uncle. Anybody who's ever lost close family knows those 7 stages of grief aren't urban myths. On our social media, many are still in a blubbering state of shock, like Miss Nicole, who says, still floating in an ocean of grief. I don't even see a shoreline. We thought we had partied our way into catharsis the night of with Questlove at Brooklyn Bowl. Then Sunday we heard audio of your last testament in the ATL. And that raw prophetic chain gang tenor you unleashed snapped us to pieces again. All the same, our doxology, our final reckoning with the demiurge in you begs that we now answer this. Just how badass was Prince Rogers Nelson? So badass you were your own Joe Jackson for starters. Whip your own ass into that Ready for the World stage with the state we first encountered on the Controversy Tour in 1981 at the Warner Theater with The Time in DC. You, this intercontinental ballistic missile of danger and daring do, blown into our path from the very unfunky but boondocks of Minneapolis, a place with a colored population of barely 10% when you were born. Black enough, though, that you show up at 19 years old, a ready-made grandmaster of all our music's core instruments, romantic vocabularies, and progressive sonics. And unlike our insanely permissive and mollycoddling present, when any young Negro with half a hook can be a shooting star and spend their 15-minute final quarter flaming out in front of the top Apollo legends, you had the nerve to come storming in from the outback demanding dining rights in their Olympian arena, meaning you came into the game when Stevie Wonder, Rick James, David Bowie, Waylon Porter, Aretha Franklin, Chaka Khan, Paul and Funkadelic, Jackson 5, and Earth, Wind & Fire were still in their prime. So not a drill, so not in audition. How cocky was our oven fresh? How cocky was our oven fresh embryonic young prince? So cocky you turned down lucrative record deals that would have permitted Maurice White or Quincy Jones to be the in-studio bosses of you. Ha! Because you already knew back then when the band was Grand Central, then Champagne, Jimmy Jam on bass, Morris Day on drums, and y'all stayed busy cutting your ambitious teeth on every talent show, hotel lounge, or chitlin circus gig the great white American heartland had to offer future funk and roll black rock stars as bodacious as your rambunctious and anomalous selves. So bad that back when the entry exam for upstart contenders in black popular music was more akin to today's NBA than tomorrow's TMZ, you blew in with stacked heels, mascara, supermodel mane, Egyptian coal, and that puckish grin, telling the league's gatekeepers, yo, I'm on the starting five of Funky. And I'm floor coaching myself from day one. So, ain't a lick been played on the radio, near a beat dropping in the arena, no Barry, Stevie, or Diana to co-sign your insurgent antics. Last time anybody had seen balls, that gigantor's name was Sly Stone. From just as booty of backwater, Vallejo, California, ex-DJ, ex-gangbanger, ex-choir boy, ex-conservatory nerd, who woke up one day and decided to challenge the Memphis Motown James Brown Abbey Road grill building regimes by his lonesome. You can make it if you try was his mantra too. A studio-savvy multi-instrumentalist like Stevie and you, fluent in English poetics, equally advanced about ethnic and gender democracy to boot. The #1 model for copious notes on what to do and not to do. Eclectic craft-wise and chemical-wise too, which is another reason the sketchy and suspect narrative we've been given regarding your exit befuddles us. Given the loyal opposition, your 1980s breakthrough was as wildly improbable as Sly's 1968 one, not least because you weren't out to just secure a foothold. No, you saw a crack in the window of apartheid-oriented American rock radio and you wanted to bust that bitch wide open, upsetting your nation still dreaming of desegregation, race, sex, and dress tolerances with the taunting debaucheries of your dirty mind. We also can't overlook that this hoodoo child of the Corn Belt bust out of L7 the year after punk broke, the fabled summer of hate that would beget the second British invasion of our lifetime in New Wave too. So legends of funk and soul to your right, Johnny Rotten, Joe Strummer, Devo to your left, and a deluge of LA hair metal in the gooey midsection of early music television's rotational bandwidth. How bad was Prince Rogers Nelson that he came, saw, and conquered when his starship landed on the nigger-denying shores of an MTV still busy sweating Van Halen's jockstraps? Bad enough that your little red Corvette will vie neck and neck with MJ's Billie Jean for a shameful distinction. First video by a black artist allowed on the network. Michael took the lead, Prince a close second, both following crossover strategies 101 held over since the days of minstrelsy, all in the service of a Basquiat-like pimp walk of black avant-gardism through the front door, while the rest of us 1980s avant-negroid black rock for the muckers were scheming out how to sneak our rah-rah through the servants' entrance. We are past masters of code switching, the mask that hides and grins, got techniques for these mother rapers, blackface, whiteface, what the fuck kind of racial facial the funk calls for. We've been knowing how to disguise our Trojans and ride white horses for a long time. Getting over on the crossover been a Negro specialty since the court grease Burt Williams first stuffed himself in a bootylicious rooster suit. And don't even get us started on the history of slipping behind enemy lines by diffusing tension with the calm, the relaxer. When there's a million soldiers in gold medallions and tracksuits, you go full frontal hip hop. When it's just your preoptic high yellow butt cheeks out there, you might need to pass until the afro is unsafe again. They can call it overcompensating short man syndrome if they want, but as Charlie Murphy learned, you relish stuff on them all, small or tall, blind, crazy with a kickstand. And like your generational peer, Michael Jordan, your superstardom dudes required getting spanked by your elders before rocking and past them. Stones fans booed and hissy-fitted you off the stage. You upstaged Rick James in such a state of paranoia, he threatened to beat you down if you didn't stop stealing his shit. And so forth, and so forth. Next. Dirty mind and controversy implanted your primal directive in the public imagination. Sex, dance, rock and roll. Whole world figured out that like every other rocker worth his satiric impulses. You not only came lusting after their daughters, but possibly their bi-curious sons in Christ Almighty. Maybe your own blood siblings too. What screams schoolyard predator alert more than a man in an open trench skirt with knot on underneath, with six-pack abs, cheetah print briefs, pancaked and bouffanted Little Richard had established the template in 1956. Fastest road out of obscurity into a nation of car radios. Dressing up gender confusion in tenderized kinky hair and Pentecostal fervor, while suggesting fans form attachments across racial and sexual divides. Jimmy rolled over the monkeys with that script in '67. Up in Buffalo, Rick James got the news, snatched George Clinton's salsa like it was little Sally Walker's. Now it's your turn to do the twist. I was dreaming when I wrote this. Forgive me if it goes astray, but when I woke up this morning, I could have sworn it was Judgment Day. Take the heat, relish the media outrage, sex and race up the charts with consecutive platinum hits. After the desired effect, there'll be world enough in time to let the people know you love Jesus in the ghetto too. Not hard, since you always left room for the Holy Ghost in the unholiest mixes. You dropped hints early, anti-Christian, anti-Christ, till you crucified. I lived my life in taxi cabs. Then with 1999, you dropped all pretense, ponied up an erotic fever dance of an album that encouraged mass hedonism under a Ronnie Reagan dreading mushroom cloud. After which came the Cineplex blockbuster Purple Rain, when you broke into our regularly scheduled Bildungsroman Roman-like emergency broadcast news, revealing from the jump on Let's Go Crazy that you, my dude, were the most messiah-complexed and death-obsessed party animal rocket scene since Jimi Hendrix. But unlike our long-gone King Jimmy James, you weren't out to oppose Christian orthodoxy, start your own church, and throw the Bible out with the bucket bathwater. To dispel all doubt, you handed us the cross on Sign of the Times, although even that scarcely revealed that a Jehovah's Witness conversion was waiting in the wings of the flip's most glorious gift, the apocryphal vision of you and long, tall Larry Graham, your Jehovian sensei, decked out in white robes and mod cuts going door to door, hucking watchtowers and fellowship to Twin City house fries. Eventually, you morphed, tatted, and gliffed yourself into a slave rebellion against the record business. Let earthlings know a Corsican brotherhood known as Warner Brothers owned your body and your master tapes. A tad dramatic, we thought at the time, but now we know you were delivering Future Shock, a pre-sagacious primer in the changing rules of the digital music road. That music making was about to become secondary to music taking. The tech savvy in music no longer meant keeping up with the latest synths and drum machines, but with software promised to be the most advantageous for music's creative flow. CD-ROMs, website downloads, cross-media giveaways, you got there first. And when file sharing came along, you didn't play yourself like a fan litigating Metallica. You wisely waited to peep the YouTube game and then started file starving the little buggers on the logical grounds that if Steven Spielberg's content couldn't be strip mined for free, then yours wouldn't be either. Hence the difficulty of finding Prince Cannon or iPhone concert footage on the legit net back in that day. And then comes 2014 when just as the streaming biz finds room for one more layer, you finally wrangle your masters out of Warners and license in the title. Sprinkle goofer dust all around your bed, wake up one morning, find your own self dead. Down in some crossroads basement magic shop, Jimmy took you by the hand, passing on his seething cauldron of guitar fluidity while you promised him never gonna let the elevator bring us down, and then you delivered on that. Words bomb. And then and what's really so bananas about all this no more Prince in the world shit is because you're the one who beat the freaky soul man crib death mortality curse by decades. Because after MJ last seen sipping his milk of amnesia went off to Never Never Land, we were sure your clean living straight edge patootie would end up the Funk's marathon man. The one who came rolling up to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame at 80 something like I saw Chuck Berry do with his octogenarian common law dime piece ladies that met her by his side, two of them chuckling the night away while all-star tribute acts reanimated the canon. Now conspiratorial speculation is running wild. Couldn't be your post-apocalyptic catalog value, all the Black Lives, Van Jones, stuff that's been mattering to you, with your generosity of purse, rage, and spirit since before Trayvon, no? So when you call up that shrinking Wrigley Hills, you know the one, Doctor, everything's gonna be all right. Instead of asking him how much of your time is left, ask him how much of your mind, baby. Doctor, everything will be all right. Make everything go wrong. Pills and thrills and daffodils will kill. Hang tough children. Certain channels are rife with suspicion that it was Mike who gave the order, called you home out of boredom and brotherly longing, because even beyond those pearly gates, there was no one who complimented him the way you did. There is a goddess, and we the people already know, because she and her infinite wisdom doubled down, dropped two prodigal sons on earth in the same myth cycle, cosmic twins of glam and slam, her white gloved Thor and purple-suited Loki of glitter and gifts. Just so we get to witness her moody prince and an excitable MJ barnstorming the Death Star of industrialized white supremacy, blowing it up from the inside, then living to tell the tale and walk away with all the money, power, and respect due to the cats before them who never completed 27 cycles around the sun, let alone 50. 'Twin City Gemini tricksters need more changing rooms and Virgo shapeshifters for Gary, though. That's why for our money, your love pans deliver more sutures for our karma to sink her teeth into. Your hands down the more marvelous wordsmith of your tandem. That black bard who no less a vernacular authority than James Baldwin's BFF, Miles Davis, openly declared America's poet laureate for all those words, words, words. Miles also thought you were a blend of Charlie Parker, Charlie Chaplin, Jimi Hendrix, and James Brown. But somehow the elder Prince of Darkness forgot to mention Joni Mitchell, the patron saint of you and all other post-soul lyricists. Joni's all up in dig, if you will, this picture. You and I engage in a kiss. Animals strike curious poses. They feel the heat between me and you. Dig, if you will, as well. The Joniness of Dorothy. Dishwater blonde, tall and fine. She got a lot of tips. Well, earlier, I've been talking stuff about it. When I'm fighting with lovers past, I needed someone with a quicker wit than mine. Dorothy was fast. Miles also considered Prince a true troubadour because he wrote a song about every experience in his life. The upshot of all that sharing seems beyond ironic because it's only in our mourning that we realize we know more about your furtive, mysterious, cunning, and offstage publicity, shunning fantasy life and psychic haunts than any black cat in history, famous, infamous, or even family. Yet the deepest thing about you in retrospect, my ninja, is also the most obvious, that like every other big tent player, pimp, impresario we've ever known, you lived and died by that most basic rule. Give them everything you got in spades, but always leave them grieving for more. Thank you.